I know it's shocking considering the title, but there were a lot of new hybrids in Book 16. And I don't know about you, but during my read through, I was itching to see what everyone looked like. So many new characters and so few official designs. To my knowledge, other than the cover itself, this is the only official art we have so far. And this is gorgeous, but it's a fraction of the exciting new characters that we've been introduced to. But I won't let a lack of official art stop me. So today I want to design some of these awesome new hybrids. Small note, I am talking designs in this video, not plot details, so feel free to watch even if you haven't read the book yet. There will still be some extremely minor spoilers, but nothing major, I promise. It's a real shame we don't have art of Platypus because she's such an important character and she's so intriguing to me. I have seen some really cool fan designs from other artists though. Her design seems really all over the place at first, with some clashing colors and shapes. But with some trial and error, I did manage to pull together a design that both feels true to the book's description and looks amazing. The Wings of Fire wiki describes Platypus as a wild wing, spiky all over like taipan, with dappled gold, dark blue, and black, with streaks of phosphorescent green striping her Pyrean wings that glow in the dark. So right off the bat, this is a little challenging. Generally with my designs, I try to stick with similar colors and shapes for a cohesive final product. But here we have gold, dark blue, black, and glowing green for her colors. Also, dappled colors means spots, and striping means, well, stripes. So between some loud colors and contrasting shapes, this was a real challenge. Don't get me wrong, a good contrast is awesome, but it's certainly a little trickier to pull off right. Anyways, to help tie everything together, I lined her little spiky scales with the dark blue. The straighter lines help match the markings on her wings, but they're mixed in with the dappled spots and freckles, so they blend pretty well. Platypus is a pretty chaotic dragon, so I wanted this design to be loud and messy to match that vibe. So some of those spots are intentional, one in the middle of each spike, but then we also have random scatterings of black and blue everywhere, as well as freckles. So there's a lot going on, but it all works together pretty well in the end. I did end up struggling with the wings a bit. The glowing green vibe was just not working for me, and I really liked the look of the blue and gold, so I didn't want to ruin it with some jarring neon green. But then I decided that since the book describes her glowing scales as phosphorescent, not necessarily bright, it would actually kind of make sense for them to be pale when they aren't glowing. Think about the glow-in-the-dark stars you can hang up in your bedroom, or those little rubber glow-in-the-dark bracelets. They're neon green in the dark, but during the day they're a pale white-green color. So I ended up using a super pale green. It blends great with the colors, but contrasts just enough to be this little electric zing of personality. I don't know if this is what Tui was envisioning when she described Platypus, but I'm super happy with it. She looks fierce and chaotic and gorgeous. I considered drawing Quokka too, but we do actually have some official art of her, so instead I picked Paua. She was really interesting to me. I definitely want to know more about her life. But aside from just being a fun read, blue and silver are never not going to be a cool color palette, so I knew I wanted to draw her. Paua is described as closer to a sea wing than anyone else Umber had seen, but with thorny wild wing spikes along her tail. Her scales are sapphire blue with iridescent silver and curling patterns along her sides and wings. I love the description of wild wing spikes as thorny. Just makes me think of like a garden that's been abandoned and gone feral, sort of crazy and beautiful at the same time. I don't know, the word association is cool. Anyways, Paua came together the easiest for me. I just did a sea wing, but with extra spikiness. And since she's descended from the Sea Wing royal family, I did give her those traditional markings, but I tried to make them extra detailed and exotic looking, both to match her other silver markings and because she's definitely not full Sea Wing. Paua was super interesting to read about. What a rough position to be in, descended from the Animus who did so much good for the inhabitants of the island, but to have inherited none of that. To always be looked at like a failed hero even though she never did anything wrong. How many years did she spend wondering if she was an Animus, if she'd missed it somehow? I wonder if that's maybe subconsciously part of why she became a healer, that ingrained need to fix things, to help, by healing if not by magic. And I thought it was telling that when possible dragonettes were mentioned, Paua was quick to say that she didn't want any of her own. I wonder if she fears subjecting her own potential dragonettes to the same level of expectations that she grew up with. Anyways, briefly though we saw her, Paua was a great character, and she really made me do some thinking. Hopefully this design does her justice. Pretty, mysterious, and just a little thorny. Swinging to the opposite side of the spectrum of personalities is Aurora. Not gonna lie, I never thought we'd see a Wings of Fire pop star, but safe to say at this point, nothing surprises me anymore. Aurora has silvery, shimmering white and pale rose pink scales with glittering gold scales along her snout, and shimmering pink and gold wings. She has sharp, silvery ice wing spikes around her head and along her tail, and cool, icy blue eyes. And she breathes blue fire, which I didn't draw, but is a very cool detail. Is it hotter than other fire, or does it burn cold? Such a cool concept. I think Aurora's tribal ancestors are more recent than someone like Platypus or Taipan. She still has a lot of recognizable traits like ice wing spikes and things like that. My guess is that she's an ice-sky hybrid, maybe with some rainwing in there? Who knows? Anyway, she's cool. I love that in her conversation with Platypus, she addresses the idea that everyone has to stand up in their own way. For Platypus, that was running away, surviving in exile, and tormenting her enemies every waking minute. It's loud and violent and high energy and risky. For Aurora, though, her method of fighting back is more subtle, more reserved. Not necessarily less powerful, though. Think about the utter uproar when she was arrested. Dragons went nuts. But when Platypus was declared a ghost, everyone just went along with it, even in private. Different dragons have different situations and abilities. Platypus couldn't have helped the way Aurora did, and Aurora couldn't have fought the way Platypus did. That doesn't mean either of them are weak or lacking. It's just a great example of something that's very real. Everyone does what they can to do the right thing, and it looks different in every situation. Just because someone isn't helping the way you want them to doesn't mean they aren't helping at all. I love that Tui addressed a nuanced topic like this in a setting like this book. And Aurora handles the accusation that she's not helping them fight back with so much grace. She doesn't get angry and scream at her friend. She explains why she thinks her actions are helpful, why she makes the choices she does. I just really enjoyed that scene a lot in general. It was very deep. Of all these designs, Aurora is the only one who got any bling. She's supposed to be rich or whatever, and I imagine there isn't a lot of treasure on the island, so I figured it's probably not as common as it might be on Pyria or Pantala. But some elegant gold jewelry was just the thing to complement her design. And Aurora sure turned out pretty. I love the delicate pastel look of this design. Dugong does have an official design. He's in the Barnes & Noble poster. But that design is lame, and I think it could be cooler, and Dugong was super interesting, so I wanted to give it a shot too. Dugong is described as a dragon who could be a mudwing, or distantly related to one. He has a broad face, tree bark, brown scales, and patches of dark green and dark blue on his wings. He has wild wing spikes, and Umber described him as hulking. Dugong seems like a sweet guy, if a little dull. It was so sad watching Taipan and Royal be so mean to him. He seemed kind of mournful and nervous all the time. I was waiting the whole book for him to stand up to them, and I'm so glad he did in the end. I really just wanted to draw him because his colors seemed fun. I liked the warm and cool tone combo. I did make him a little spikier than the average mudwing, but other than that, I pretty much followed that tribe for his design. And I extended those patches on his wings out to the rest of his body because I thought it added a bit of interesting detail. So yeah, other than that, I don't have a ton to say about Dugong. He didn't give me anything of great depth to think over. He was just noticeable and had a fun color palette. What more could you want in a guy? Finally, Crescent. Of all the hybrids I drew today, she is the clearest two-tribe genuine hybrid, Silkwing Nightwing. I'd love to know how her parents met. Did her Nightwing parent come from the volcano? Was the Silkwing a Hivewing slave? I'd love to see how those two upbringings clash. Crescent is described as having deep blue-black scales, except for 2 silver teardrops by her eyes. She has butterfly wings dotted with silver crescents like moons. Otherwise, she mostly resembles a Nightwing. Anyways, I just wanted to draw her because the moon theme to her design was really cool. Also, her bored, aloof attitude when she has, one of the most OP powers in the series struck me as really funny and ironic. I did go ahead and draw her full wings even though I cut everyone else off sort of at the shoulders, because like I said, the moon theme of the design was a really cool idea. I did take some artistic liberties with her silver teardrop scales. I changed them to crescent moons, sort of like I do when I draw moons sometimes. Also with her wings, I did a couple larger crescent moons and then little star speckles, like a night wing, to kind of look more like a night sky. Totally book accurate? Maybe not. Will it keep me up at night? Definitely not. And that'll wrap it up. I only ended up designing 5 of the main characters, but I had a blast with it. Honestly, it kind of reminded me of doing commissions, taking a description of a character and working with it to come up with a design. If anyone else designs characters from Book 16, feel free to tag me on DeviantArt. I've been having a lot of fun looking at all the character art popping up as more and more people read the newest installation. If you enjoyed this video, I do a ton of design work, so feel free to head to my channel and check that out, or subscribe to see future videos. And if you want to see this art on my DeviantArt, you can find a link in the description, along with links to my Patreon and store. Thank you guys for watching, and please have a blessed week.
Can you hear the sound?